Dear students, welcome to MOOC on Human Rights in India. In this module, we'll take up the second part relating to the National Commission for Minorities. In the last module, we saw the historical context in which the National Commission for Minorities was established and also the structure, functions, powers of the National Commission for Minorities. In this module, we will do a critical appraisal of the National Commission for Minorities. Let us briefly recall the functions of the Commission, which are provided in Section 9 of the National Commission for Minorities Act of 1992. In particular, the National Commission is expected to evaluate progress of the development of minorities under the center and in states. It is also expected to monitor working of the safeguards provided under the Constitution, various laws and other administrative schemes and orders of the government of both at the center and in states. In addition, the National Commission for Minorities is expected to make recommendations for effective implementation of the various safeguards. Fourthly, the Commission is expected to redress complaints of rights violations from persons belonging to various minorities. A few other functions have been mentioned in Section 9 of the NCM Act of 1992, which we saw in the last module. The Commission was also given the powers of a civil code insofar as it relates to individual complaints and also for monitoring and other purposes. Now, the Commission cannot issue legally binding orders. It cannot enforce its orders or issue injunctions. In other words, it can only make non-binding recommendations. Some have called the National Commission for Minorities and such similar accountability mechanisms or NHRIs under what are called quote-unquote toothless tiger. In fact, if you go deep into this issue, one really does not require statutory powers in order to become effective. Let me explain this aspect. Many non-governmental organizations do not have the power conferred by any statute, yet when they make recommendations through carefully documented reports and when they engage in media advocacy, when they engage in legislative advocacy, often they are able to achieve their objectives. So when you see this example provided by non-governmental organizations without any formal powers, so there's a lot more that a statutory body can, like National Commission for Minorities, can achieve. In fact, it has asked for more powers for investigation, including power to take suo motu cognizance. Some experts have pointed out that there is in fact no need. The National Commission for Minorities Act itself provides a statutory responsibility on NCM to monitor, and the word monitor implies investigation as well. Now let's take each of the various functions of the National Commission for Minorities and evaluate it. How has it acquitted itself? How did it perform under each of those functions? Let's take complaints handling. It's a very important aspect of the Commission's functioning. The National Commission for Minorities receives on an average 2,000 to 2,500 complaints per annum. Please compare and contrast it to the caseload received by the National Human Rights Commission, which receives on an average 80,000 to 100,000 complaints per annum. Herein lies an important lesson for the Commission. Basically, people are not aware of the institutional machinery that is available. They do not know, many people do not know what are minority rights, what kind of structures are available, where can they turn to for redressal, and the NCM should engage in a massive outreach across the length and breadth of the country to spread awareness that here exists a statutory mechanism which can redress complaints of violations of rights belonging to minorities. Section 9 of the National Commission for Minorities requires the NCM to submit annual reports, special reports, giving detailed recommendations to the central government or various state governments. We have also seen an accountability mechanism in the form of an action taken report, which the central government and state governments are required to submit. In fact, the government is expected to table on the parliament the recommendations along with the action taken, action proposed to be taken, and in case if any recommendation is not feasible, the reasons for not being able to take action. It's a very powerful mechanism indeed. But many persons from the civil society have complained that these annual reports are ineffective because they do not capture the statistical data of violations. They do not depict comparative analysis of various situations. For instance, they hold that the National Commission for Minorities does not maintain data of deaths in police custody or deaths in police firing or deaths in fake encounters or extrajudicial executions of persons belonging to minorities, which is a serious gap in itself. And these reports are not prepared on time, they are submitted with a delay, and often the action taken reports are not detailed. They obfuscate the reality. You take, for instance, in 1992-93 was a very crucial year for the minorities. It was that year in which Babri Masjid was demolished, yet there was no annual report submitted during that year by the National Commission for Minorities for various reasons. Maybe the commission was not constituted, maybe the chairperson was not in position at the time. Of course, this commission that was appointed in the following year could have easily reported or submitted a report for the year 92-93. The experts hold this as a serious gap. In addition, there is no statutory requirement for giving a deadline for central government or state governments to table the reports of the commission before the parliament or the state legislatures. The moment you do not specify a deadline, the time frame before which the authorities need to submit a report or need to table a report, they can take their sweet time and will, with the result that critical issues do not get discussed on the floor of the parliament or on the floor of the state legislatures. All these are extremely critical for the protection of the rights of minorities in India. Let me turn to yet another dimension of politicization of bodies like National Commission for Minorities. Recently, we witnessed certain mob lynchings, we witnessed certain hate speech targeted against persons belonging to religious minorities, persons belonging to certain scheduled castes, etc. In that context, as a watchdog, one would have expected the National Commission for Minorities to have taken a lead, to have made the right noises, catalyzing action by the authorities, yet the actual utterances of the chairperson of the commission did not inspire confidence in the civil society. They echoed the government line, with the result that Shabnam Hashmi was a activist, human rights activist, a crusader for protection of the rights of minorities. She was constrained to turn down an award that was presented to her by the National Commission for Minorities. This politicization has an effect on the independence of the commission. It can compromise on the way it addresses certain issues, and it violates the Paris principles. So, in other words, and all national human rights institutions, including the National Commission for Minorities, are expected to be independent, autonomous, and be the watchdogs for protection of the rights and uphold the mandate. In conclusion, on the one hand, National Commission for Minorities took up complaints, investigated matters, took suo motu cognizance of several issues, participated in the legislative process, given inputs to various ministries on the issues concerning minorities. So, it has done well in some matters. On the other hand, there are still concerns over politicization of the body, about lack of adequate funding, lack of manpower resources, and many other issues which we have seen in this module. So, on the one hand, the National Commission for Minorities is not expected to be a panacea for all problems which are affected the persons belonging to various religious minorities in the country, yet it is a statutory body. It is expected to provide leadership. It is expected to coordinate the actions of various state commissions for minorities. In fact, 16 states have established state commissions. The National Commission can easily advocate with the remaining state governments on the need for early setting up of state minority commissions, call all of them, have a coordinated action, have a joint action, work in tandem with the various state commission, and the National Commission for Minorities had an overarching umbrella role to provide direction, to provide leadership for the minority rights issues in the country. But there is a long or a huge gap with regard to its performance. Hopefully, in the years to come, things will improve with the infusion of the right persons in the commission, with the infusion of right resources, both human and financial. See you in the next module. Thank you.